On his ABC radio program this past weekend, Rudy Giuliani announced that he actually has, according to him, scientific evidence that will prove once and for all that there was some electoral shenanigans taking place in the state of Georgia in the 2020 election, and this new evidence, of course, will totally exonerate him when it's time to go to trial. Here's what Giuliani said. There are a lot of things we didn't present then, in 2020, because over the next couple of years, a lot of people did a lot of work and have been able to produce more witnesses and what I would call scientific evidence that is very persuasive. Persuasive, right? Because that's what we're looking for. We're not looking for definitive. We're not looking for actual evidence. We're just looking for something that might persuade people to think the same stupid conspiracies that Rudy Giuliani thinks. Think about the words you use before you use them, Rudy, because you basically made it sound like we don't actually have the evidence, but we may have some good talking points that might persuade a juror or two to, not convict me of the crimes I've been indicted for in the state of Georgia. Good luck with that. And of course, he does address the issue, like, why didn't you bring this up before? He's like, well, it took 2.5 years. We had to get more witnesses. We had to, I don't know, because we don't really have evidence. But this is a lot like Donald Trump last week saying, I've got this new report. It'll be finalized. I'll do my conference on Monday. And then, of course, he canceled it because his lawyers were like, you're going to dig yourself into a hole. But Giuliani's not saying he's going to release it before the trial. And honestly, he's able to do that, right? If you have evidence to prove that you are innocent, then do that. Here's the thing, though. You say you've got evidence of electoral shenanigans in Georgia. This isn't a case about proving voter fraud. See, that's the thing, folks. Rudy Giuliani doesn't seem to understand that he's not going to court to prove that bad things happened in that election. Even if he's able, which he won't be because it didn't happen, but assume for a second, even if he's able to prove like, hey, there were bad things that happened in Georgia. Okay, cool. You were still part of a conspiracy to interfere with that state's electoral process, which is still illegal. So you can present whatever scientific evidence you think you may have to prove that something happened. It doesn't change the criminal charges against you. That's not a legal defense. You're still screwed. It blows my mind that this man who is so ignorant about how trials work was once considered to be one of the greatest prosecutors the United States had at the time, because this is idiotic. This is not what the charges are about. It's like if you go and rob a bank and instead you also find that the bank has been, holding people hostage in the vault, but you still take the money and free the hostage. You don't get to be like, well, they were doing bad things. Okay, fine. You still robbed the bank. Like, you're still going to be put away for that. The fact that you also freed some hostages doesn't change that. So, that's Giuliani's thing. Oh, and by the way, he also says that he's going the Mark Meadows route. He is requesting that his trial get moved from state court to federal court. And he said on the radio show this weekend, he is positive that that will happen. There's literally no way that can happen because the law that Meadows is using to try to get him switched from state court to federal court only applies to actual federal employees. And Rudy Giuliani was not that. Like, they probably won't even have a hearing on it because Rudy Giuliani was not a federal employee. Therefore, the law that says move it from state to federal court cannot even apply in that case. So again, former great prosecutor of the U.S. who doesn't seem to understand the very basics of law. So this will be interesting. And if these are the best things Rudy Giuliani has to come up with, then I'm pretty sure he's going to end up convicted of everything. Ring of Fire has fresh content 7 days a week. So if you want to be reminded about it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell to be notified every time a new video goes up.